Hello and welcome to Eye on the Money, the television show that gives you insights into how to improve your financial well-being as well as make your money work for you. I'm Ingrid Nantege. On today's show, we discuss how to create a wealth-generating business. Now, I want to start a small business and hope to become wealthy. Do I need to start a certain type of business? Do I have to give up my personal life? What does it take to get rich? A lot of people ask themselves these questions prior to starting a business because, after all, no one wants to venture into a business that will not make you money or generate you wealth. Rich people come from all types of industries. It's possible to get rich in an endless variety of businesses. What's more, you do not need to be brilliant. You do not have to be a workaholic. You do not need to have some unique talent if you want to get rich. Either, you don't have to have a super talent either. So what's the secret behind creating a wealth-generating business? My next guest is here to answer this question. Joining me in studio is Anne Gaither, founder and CEO of Regal Africa Group, also investment expert. You're welcome to the show, Anne.
Thank you, Ingrid. Nice to be here.
Very happy to have you because I'm really sad I didn't know you earlier, yet you've just been venturing on all these other shows, yet here is where you belong.
Oh, thank you for telling me that. But yes, I'm all about business, just like Metropole, but personal finance is something that I'm very passionate about.
And this is what Eye on the Money is about.
Yes.
So we're a perfect fit, no?
Definitely, I think.
So to get into the beef of the topic today,
yes.
When we talk about a wealth-generating business, entrepreneurs out there who already started their businesses are like, what? So you mean there's a trick to it? Are there certain people who go into business without knowing that it will make them wealth? So just to start us off with the basics,
yes.
Are there actually businesses that are specifically intended to generate wealth, and are there businesses that actually will not achieve this? Help us to understand the disconnect, the difference.
Okay. I think every person who goes into business wants to go in to make money, but the way they do it makes the difference, because for me it's all about execution of strategy. A lot of people just go in because they want to make money, like I say, but I say a successful business has to be scalable, has to be sustainable. It has to be something that you've actually thought through. You actually have to have a vision. What is the vision for your business? A lot of us, especially us in Kenya, we do this copycat business, right? So you see someone is making money in selling eggs, you all go do that. Selling quails, you all go do that. And that is the wrong strategy. I always tell people you have to find a business that makes sense. So you have to actually do market research. You have to understand that particular industry. You have to be very passionate about that particular industry or venture that you're going into. And once you have that foundation in place, that's when you'll have a very successful business that will create generational wealth, create wealth for you and the community that you serve. So I think for me, the reason a lot of people don't make money in business is because they don't think long term. Everyone thinks they'll make money in 6 months. And even the greatest businesses out there are continuously improving and innovating to create wealth. Yeah. So it's for you to be successful, it's long term. And there are different industries you can make money into, but you have to know. You have to know the industry that you're making money.
I love how you've started it off, and you started by saying you have to understand the vision.
Yes.
There's a thought process that goes into this, understand the industry. So my question then is, because usually it's the foundation, right? In almost every aspect of life, it's the foundation that will set you up for success or for failure.
Yes.
So even when you talk about understanding the industry that you go into, what if I've done my market research, I've decided I'm going I've fully understood the industry, but it's a saturated industry. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Either way, I'm going to go in there, I'm going to face a lot of competition. So when embarking on going into creating a business that generates you wealth, what's the initial thought process besides, like, you know, obviously understanding the industry and also getting into an industry where ideally you're going to have to play against already other established businesses?
I would say what will get you to the top is differentiation. You need to be very innovative. You have to create a brand. Where will someone come to buy your products versus your competition? It's because they probably relate to it. Maybe you've priced it well. There's something about your brand. And I'll give an example. Why would I go and buy, you know, say, for example, I want to go and, you know, I like fashion, for example. Why would I go and buy this brand versus this other brand? Because this brand produces maybe better quality at a good price. I feel that I get value from that business. So I'll keep buying from that product versus somebody else who's just selling me something very cheap and I can get it from anywhere. So it's about distinction. You have to be very innovative. You have to stand out as a brand and just do things differently. And that's why I find it strange that a lot of businesses just do the same thing like everybody else, because then you will not be successful. You probably just be surviving, but you're not going to be able to take it to the next level. But of course, sometimes when you're doing something very innovative and you do it too early, maybe it's also not the right move. Right? Because then you have to spend so much money, so much time just educating people what it is that you're bringing to the table. So it's about understanding the market, but also time in the market. Is the market ready for your innovation? Is the market ready for your service or your product? And I think that's what distinguishes one business from the other.
Perfect.
Yes.
Now let's talk about something a lot of entrepreneurs, or even let me say a lot of budding entrepreneurs struggle with, and that's initial startup capital.
Yes.
How does that come into play when we're talking about a wealth generating business? Even putting into mind like just those things of the higher the risk, the greater the return, the bigger the investment, the greater the return. So for someone to come up with a business that generates them the amount of wealth, or that spans across generations, would you say the initial startup capital has to be big? The size of investment has to be big? Is it synonymous? How much you put in and how much you get out of it?
I don't think so, because I think different industries have different requirements, right? There are some industries that are very capital intensive. For example, if you're going to go into real estate, yes, you need a lot of money. If you're going into manufacturing, you need a lot of money. But if you're starting a business where you're trading, if you're looking at starting a business where you're offering services, maybe the initial capital is not as much. But definitely you need initial capital. Very few people will fund an idea. And it's what in the industry we call the 3Fs, right? So your family, your friends, and what I call fine angels. It has to be somebody who really says, you know what, I get where you're going and I will back you. Yeah. But there are very few of that. So for you, when you're starting a business, you actually have to say, where am I going to get the initial capital so that I can put in this business? Personally for me, and I like giving personal examples, for me, I worked in corporate. I'm a banker by profession. So because I knew I wanted to start up my business, what I did is I spent my time saving my money. Because I knew when I start my business, it's not going to be easy. And I'll start people, you need at least 3 years of whereby you're testing the market, making sure you're building your brand, putting the processes and structures in place. You really need to have a good foundation before now you can be able to scale up. And a lot of people don't understand that. They think you just have an idea and you just try.
Try and error. Let's see what happens.
Yes, I mean, there's a place of try and error. You have to be flexible in business, right? The way I started my business is different from the way it is now. I still have the same vision. I have the same goal, because the goal for Regal Africa is to help our clients create wealth. So that doesn't change. It's just how we do it that is changing. So you always have to be very flexible, understanding the market, because as you put out your product and service, you get feedback from your clients. But at the same time, I don't think it's wise to just start without thinking it through. Because if you start without thinking through, you don't have a vision. And so you'll start going in different spaces that you really don't need to be doing. Yeah, so I think that's very important for me.
And that's very helpful. But to dwell a little bit on the issue of financing or even funding the business, what are your thoughts on someone actually, having this brilliant idea, they've thought it through, they've done their market research, they're ready, but they might not really have the capital. And again, like you've said, they don't have that angel investor to believe in them. So where do they go? They go to the bank to take out a loan to start up this business. So I'd really like, as you being the professional and being a former banker but still using your own savings to start up a business, what are your thoughts on people who decide to take out loans to start up a business? Is that already going on the wrong path if you want to create wealth from your business? Or, is it still all right? What would you say about that?
I don't think you want to get into debt very early. That to me is something that and in business, there's no guarantee. Unless you know, for example, that you will get this debt, you would be able to do the product or service, present that to a customer and they'll pay you. Unfortunately, also in our culture, we have an issue with payment. So can you imagine you've gone and borrowed from the bank, it's a new business, and then you provide that good and service to your client, and then they don't pay you on time, and you still have a loan that you have to pay. What does that do? It ruins the relationship we have with that bank.
Absolutely.
Very soon. And then now, again, maybe if you had collateral, then that means now they're selling your property, and that's the problem there. So I always tell people, when you start, because there are different ways of funding your business, I always advise people to actually bootstrap. Use your savings. Go to family and friends who, now you can talk to them and say, please, can you give me more time? They're more lenient than a bank, which requires you to pay. And it's very surprising in this market, for example, that people who have an idea go directly to the bank. Like I told you, I was a banker, but not locally. I did it in the US. And we never funded startups.
Oh.
No.
What would be the reason behind that?
Right, because they're too risky.
Right.
Right? It's an idea. Right? So what people would do, again, they use their savings, or if they owned a home, which maybe a lot of people in the US did, they used equity in their home, they did that, or they did unsecured loans. Personal loans, but the bank never actually gave you a loan unless you're an established business. But then also there was a government initiative, and I don't know if I'm going to, right, but there was a government initiative that would then guarantee these loans, and I think that's what's starting to happen in Kenya, which is called SBA. So you'd actually have to, it would be sort of like technical assistant, build capacity of your business, and then that is when, with the bank, with the guarantee, the bank would lend, because then if you default, then there's a fallback plan. And that's what a lot of businesses, but it's, banks are not created to serve ideas and startups because they are too risky. So I always advise people, you want to go into the bank once you understand that if I get this loan, I can pay it back. But if you do not know that you can pay it back, I don't think it's a good idea to take a loan.
Thank you for making that clear, because a lot of people actually do go down that route. Now, Anne, let's talk about succession, and in particular having a succession plan when going into a business, or even coming up with one when you're already into the business. How important is this when it comes to, again, we're talking about businesses that make us, generate us wealth, not just any business. Businesses intended to generate us wealth. Is there any importance when it comes to a succession plan? Does it have any role to play, or
Yes, I believe succession planning is very critical, because when you are in business, I always say, us as humans, we are mortal. We are going to, something's going to happen, right? So, and a business can be able to last a very long time, especially if you look at places like in Europe, in Asia, businesses over 100 years. It's in Africa that we're still like, if you reach your 5th or your 10th year anniversary, you're very happy. No, we're talking about 100 of years. And if you're talking about that, then that means you need a succession plan. In fact, what we do at Regal Africa, part of our wealth management package, is we work with business owners, and we have what we call business wealth planning. It's an 8-step process, all the way from understanding your financial net worth, to doing financial analysis on your statements, to understanding your retirement plan, because you're going to retire from your business. But it all ends around succession planning. Succession planning is basically saying, what happens when I stop leading this business? Right? Because most people, when they start the business, whether it's a family business, whether it's a partnership or a corporation, there's a leader. When that leader moves, what will happen? And that is very critical, because you never want a vacuum in leadership. When there's a vacuum in leadership, things tend to go wrong. Right? So you want to make sure that there is somebody that, if anything happens, that this person takes over. And what it is in business, you want to avoid speculation. You don't want to give, you want to be predictable. You don't want to make people uneasy. And so it is very important to run any business that people know that if anything happens, the business goes on. So succession planning is very important. On top of succession planning, even having a business continuity plan. We see what happened with COVID this year. A lot of people did not have a plan in case some kind of pandemic happens, right? And then, they got stuck. A lot of people have closed down, or a lot of people just don't know what to do. But those are things that you need to think of, especially as your business grows. You actually need to understand, what do I need to do to make sure that this business lasts for a very long time. For me, I always talk about business being our wealth generation tool, as you've alluded, because it's something your children can inherit. And I always tell people, when you're starting a business, you want to think about generation wealth, and you need to think about the 4th generation. So if you're thinking about the 4th generation, then you need to understand, this business that I've set up by myself, as a family, or with a corporation, or different things, who will take over me? Will it be my child? Will it be management? But you need to have that in place. I think if you don't think through that and have the right person who takes over, then chances of that business going down are real.
Actually, and that makes so much sense, because particularly in the African context, and I'll even speak for East Africa,
Yes.
we've seen situations where a very big business empire has been in existence. Then when the proprietor dies, regardless of whether he's had his children in the business helping him out, that's the end of it. So we'll have to take a very quick break right now, but don't go anywhere, because when we come back from the break, we talk a lot more about how to create a wealth generating business. We'll be right back.